As April 15th approaches and people spend valuable time and money on filing their income tax returns, I think it's worth our time to look at the source of our pain. While plenty of people grouse and complain about paying income taxes, most don't realize that the cause of their pain is the actions of the states back in 1913. When the states ratified the 16th Amendment, they did more than just help the feds collect income taxes. They fundamentally changed the republic for the worse. So we'll discuss that next on the Constitution Study.
Lovely neighbors and have a few good friends. Every day we're everyday Americans. Oh, every day we're everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution, teach the rising generation be free. I'm glad you could join me today. You know, income tax and the paying of income tax is always a contentious subject. That's why I think we need to spend a little time going back to the beginning and finding out where this all started. Now, I've got some more information about the website to tell you about at the end of the episode, but before we go there, I want to let you know about something exciting. I've made a deal with Patriot Mobile, the only Christian conservative-based wireless carrier in the nation. If you want to stop giving money to the carriers that are, funding the opposition, come on over to Patriot Mobile. You can get the same service on the same towers and fund Christian conservative organizations, including the Constitution Study. Please head to patriotmobile.com/constitution to find out more. And be sure to use the code Constitution at checkout, as it'll get you free activation. Once again, that's patriotmobile.com/constitution, and use the code Constitution to get free activation. And now, let's talk about the 16th Amendment and the federal income tax. Nobody I know likes paying taxes. They're a necessary evil if we have a stable society. So the most common questions debated are, who pays the taxes and how much? The more important decision is, who decides those questions? In 1787, when the Constitution was drafted and ratified, the framers of this country understood the need to collect taxes. So they delegated the power to tax to Congress, but with some very specific restrictions. According to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and taxes shall be uniform throughout the United States. Yes, Congress can collect taxes. Duties, imposts, and excises are simply different types of taxes that Congress can collect. Notice, however, there are only three things Congress can collect taxes for: to pay the debts of the United States, for the common defense of the United States, and for the general welfare of the United States. Notice also that Congress can only collect taxes to be used for the United States, capital U, capital S, a proper noun for the entity known as the United States. This is the very same proper noun used in the 10th Amendment to say, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. Here we see our first problem. We the people have not held Congress to collecting taxes only for constitutionally authorized purposes. As Alexis de Tocqueville said, the American Republic will endure until the day Congress discovers that it can bribe the public with the public's money. Congress has discovered how to bribe the public, and oh, how they have used it. However, for the first century or so, there was a serious impediment to Congress's ability to overtax the people: the Constitution. See, when the House of Representatives was established in Article 1, Section 2, an important little phrase was included, Clause 3. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included in this union according to their respective numbers. Not only were the seats in the House to be apportioned to the states by population, but so were direct taxes. The Free Legal Dictionary defines a direct tax is usually a property tax or ad valorem, by value tax, as opposed to an indirect tax upon some right or privilege, such as a franchise tax. It's not that Congress couldn't impose any direct taxes, only that they had to apportion those taxes to the states. If Congress were to pass a tax on the value of your property, your estate, or even your income, They had to divide the tax up amongst the states based on their population and have the states collect it. Now, as we see, this is extremely important since it places the states between the people and the United States government. The income tax, by the way, didn't start with the 16th Amendment. It started in 1862 to fund the Civil War. Since it was a consistent revenue stream, the income tax was sold to the people with a warning that it was necessary, the promise that it would be limited to a person's income, and was scheduled to expire in 1870. However, that did not make it constitutional. Most likely due to the urgencies of the war, though, this tax was never challenged in court. Then in 1894, Republican Senator John Sherman argued that the income tax should become permanent. The consumption taxes of the day were not fair, and that the burden of this tax should be borne by the wealthy rather than by everyone. Sound familiar? The Revenue Act, or Wilson-Gorman Tariff of 1894, instituted a 2% tax on all income over $4,000, approximately $144,000 in 2024 dollars. The Supreme Court in 1895 found this tax to be unconstitutional in the case Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company. The tax imposed by sections 27 to 37 inclusive of the Act of 1894, so far as it falls on the income of real estate and of personal property, being a direct tax within the meaning of the Constitution, and therefore unconstitutional and void because not apportioned according to representation. All those sections constituting one entire scheme of taxation are necessarily invalid. If the 1894 income tax was unconstitutional, does that mean that the 1862 tax was as well? In 1906 and 1908, two prominent members of the Republican Party voiced their support for an income tax. Theodore Roosevelt said, "A graduated income tax of the proper type would be a desirable feature of federal taxation, and it is to be hoped that one may be devised which the Supreme Court will declare constitutional." Now, Roosevelt believed in a graduated income tax like the one we have today. He thought it was a desirable feature of federal taxation. Now, William Howard Taft said, "I believe that an income tax, when the protective system of customs and the internal revenue tax shall not furnish enough for government needs, can and should be devised which, under the decision of the Supreme Court, will conform to the Constitution." It appears Taft merely saw an income tax as a source of revenue for the federal government, something to supplement the duties and tariffs already imposed. It was not that the federal government was spending too much money, but how much can the federal government suck from the people? Did you notice that both of these men, one president, another to be president, seem to consider little else but the money an income tax would bring into the government's coffers? Did they even consider the impact on society, our economy, or the workforce in general? If so, I have found no evidence to that effect. There was one consideration other than the desire for other people's money that both men expressed: getting it past the Supreme Court. Now, that would require an amendment to the Constitution. On July 12, 1909, Congress passed a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the United States to allow Congress to tax income without apportionment. On February 3, 1913, Delaware became the 36th state to ratify the proposed amendment, making it the 16th Amendment to the Constitution and forever changing the lives of the American people. As much as people complain about the income tax, there is a fundamental misunderstanding about the 16th Amendment we need to clear up. The amendment reads, "The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration." The 16th Amendment did not establish the federal income tax. And as we've already seen, federal income taxes predate the 16th Amendment. So what did this modification to federal power do that was so damaging? It was the first and so far only allowance of the federal government to directly tax the people without apportionment to the states. For the first time in our nation's history, the federal government had an interest in how much money you make and how you spend it. Before the 16th Amendment, unless you were in the military, the only contact you had with the federal government was the post office. Today, the American people spend all year keeping track of how much money they make and how they spend it. Decisions such as buying a house or how to invest their savings is often driven by the deductions on their taxes they would be able to claim. This amendment and the complex network of laws Congress has created around it leads millions of Americans to spend over $8 billion a year on tax preparation services. Effectively, tax avoidance has surpassed even baseball as our national pastime, all thanks to the 16th Amendment. The impact of the 16th Amendment goes far beyond time, effort, and money. The most fundamental change has to do with the removal of the states from the collection of federal taxes. Both the 1862 and 1894 income taxes would have been constitutional if only Congress had apportioned them to the states rather than collect them directly. The states would have a say in those taxes, wouldn't they? It's a lot easier for the IRS to bully an individual or business to pay what the government wants than it would be for them to bully a state government. Remember, Congress is only allowed to collect taxes to do three things. According to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Now, states could look at how Congress was using the taxes collected and refuse to collect the unconstitutional excess. The states could also impact how those taxes were collected. Since the American people have the most influence on the government closest to them, you would have more say over the collection of income taxes in your state than you ever will have in the federal government. Furthermore, rather than a person or business being expected to defend themselves in an administrative law court, where everyone but the defendant works for the government, your state could defend you in federal court, and if necessary, even with the state militia. It may seem incredible to most Americans today, but there was a time when April 15th and the need to file federal income tax not only did not exist, but was inconceivable. We should not be surprised that the greed displayed today by those in government for more of the American people's money has existed far back in our republic. The words of Senator John Sherman, Theodore Roosevelt, and William Howard Taft are examples of the greed most politicians have for your money. However, the impact of the 16th Amendment goes well beyond the dollars lost. By bypassing the states in the collection of direct taxes, the United States has further supplanted the state's impact on the people. Where once the states could restrain Congress's greed by refusing to collect taxes for illegal purposes, now the United States can reach right into your pocket to collect their ill-gotten booty. Since the 16th Amendment allows Congress to collect taxes on income from any source without apportionment, anything a politician can twist into calling income is fair game. For example, your family works for years and generations to build a farm or business. Yet according to Congress, when a loved one passes on, that generational wealth is considered income and taxed. Invest in stocks, real estate, or even baseball cards for your retirement or to leave to your children. When you sell them, Congress only sees an income to tax, taking no consideration how the value of that income has been crippled by inflation from their own policies. This leaves Congress with an almost limitless ability to tax the American people to poverty and servitude. All the way back in 1894, Senator Sherman argued that a progressive income tax was more fair. By extension, that said progressive income tax can be used to punish success, thereby giving politicians another platform from which to campaign. There's an old adage, what you tax, you get less of. Well, taxing income has led to less income. And taxing the income of successful people more has led to less success. Worst of all, the 16th Amendment has destroyed the fundamental structure of the republic our founding fathers created. According to Webster's 1828 dictionary, the fundamental property of a republic is a state in which the exercise of sovereign power is large and representatives elected by the people. Today, the decisions we make about who should represent us seem most impacted by questions of taxation. The constitutional republic created by the framers saw not only that the power was vested in the people, but that it would remain as close to them as possible. That is why the United States was given limited and enumerated powers. When the states ratified the 16th Amendment, they fractured that most fundamental aspect of self-government in America. They diminished their own power, exposing their citizens to hazards without any redress. By handing to the United States the power to directly tax our income, they removed themselves as a bulwark against an overly powerful and greedy central government. And we should not be surprised that there are those in Washington, D.C. who have seen this power to directly tax us and wish to expand it through wealth and other taxes. Well did Samuel Adams say, "If our trade may be taxed, why not our lands? Why not the produce of our lands and everything we possess or make use of? This, we apprehend, annihilates our charter right to govern and tax ourselves. Are we not reduced from the character of free subjects to the miserable state of tributary slaves? In 1913, our states began the process of reducing us from free citizens to the miserable state of tributary slaves. I hope now you see why I'm so in favor of the repeal of this amendment of tyranny we call the 16th Amendment. Well, as tax day approaches, I hope you'll consider the 16th Amendment and the importance I put in actually repealing it. Making the United States deal with the states again, making them subject to the states again, not giving them the power to tax us directly without apportionment. Give them direct access to your wallet and they control your life. This is just one example of the overreaching government, and the consequences of the 16th Amendment are legion. Everything from the growing federal budget and overspending, the debt, to the very idea that they can control healthcare comes from this idea that the federal government can do everything. And we empower that with direct access to your wallet. Listen, nobody likes to pay taxes. But if we have to pay taxes, let's make sure it's the people closest to us that are actually collecting the taxes, and that those least impacted by our opinions are not the ones making the decisions. Now, if you like this episode, please head to the website, constitutionstudy.com. Look at all the other articles, the videos, the podcasts that you can pay attention to, and maybe learn something as well. Share them. I really want to share this site and the work we're doing with so many other people. Well, for example, I got the chance to meet General Flynn recently. And I don't know if you know it, he's got a movie coming out called The Flynn Movie. Now, go to constitutionstudy.com/Flynn movie. You can find out more. And if you buy your tickets through there, well, you help support the Constitution Study as well. I know nobody likes it when I talk about money, but all this stuff doesn't grow on trees. It takes a lot of time, effort, and money to put these videos, podcasts, and articles out. And I could use a little bit of help. Now, maybe you buy a book, maybe you buy tickets to the Flynn movie, maybe you sign up for Patriot Mobile, maybe just donate to the cause, you join the Patriots program. These are all funds that allow me to keep doing what I'm doing and even do more. So I hope you'll give that a shot. I hope you'll support the work that we're doing here at the Constitution Study. I hope you'll spread the word on social media and through any websites or blogs you're a part of. But I really hope you come back and join us here next time for the Constitution Study.